All right. So, welcome to the staking masterclass. So, I'm super excited to have all of you here tonight to present on this really exciting new opportunity for Ethereum, for blockchain technology, for investors, for everybody who is excited about this as I am, because ETH 2.0 is going to be one of the most important technological innovations of our lifetime. I firmly believe that. ETH 1 is already amazing, and ETH 2 is going to get things ready for prime time. It's going to make the blockchain really fast, really scalable, just basically get it ready to do what blockchain should do in terms of the world computer. So we're going to talk about that tonight. We're going to talk about staking, because that's a really essential part of ETH 2.0. All right. It's basically the Ethereum network is going to undergo a huge change to move from proof of work to proof of stake. And we're going to talk about how to do that, because, having technical skills gives you a massive advantage if you want to jump on this opportunity. And, there's lots to learn from this, whether you have enough Ether to stake on your own, or you want to pool Ether with other people, or, you just want to learn about how to do this, because these are exciting skills to have to understand more about blockchain technology, learn more about Ether and the Ethereum blockchain itself and how it works. So I'm super excited to jump into this. So before we jump into the details, just a few pieces of housekeeping. Everybody who's in the membership program right now, let's make sure we're dropping our questions and everything inside the YouTube chat. Okay. Those probably won't be visible on the video replay or anything like that, but I will keep an eye on the YouTube chat during this presentation. But let's try to save the bulk of our questions till the end. If there's something really important that I need to stop and clarify on, I'll keep an eye on the YouTube chat, but it's hard for me to totally watch it while I'm talking and presenting and everything. So I'll check on it periodically, but we'll do an extended Q&A time at the end of this session tonight. Okay. So if you're not in the membership program and you want to be, maybe you just join the one-time masterclass tonight. You can just shoot an email to Gregory at Dapp University and we'll get you taken care of. You can unlock weekly updated videos. We do these masterclasses regularly. So you're going to get access to all the future masterclasses that we do like this, all the past masterclasses where I teach you, real world blockchain skills like this, like flash loans, DeFi, arbitrage, trading bots, all that kind of stuff. So just shoot us an email if that's something you want to do. And then also, again, there will be some coding involved with this masterclass tonight. You don't have to be a coder in order to do this, because it's for everybody. As long as you can follow step-by-step instructions, you should be able to do this. The code that I'm going to give you tonight is just ready off the shelf. You don't have to modify it per se. But if you do want to learn the coding to do this kind of stuff, then I highly recommend the Blockchain Bootcamp, because that's the step-by-step program that teaches you how to become a blockchain developer from scratch, whether you're a programmer already or not. Okay, so I'm gonna deliver you a code solution tonight that will help you do the staking pool part of this. But if you want to learn how to code that yourself, then that's my best recommendation. The last thing, all right, and this is the big disclaimer here, as just liability disclaimer. So, we're talking about staking Ether. At the time of recording this video, you need 32 ETH to stake, which is a lot of money with the current Ethereum price. So I'm going to show you how to do this. And whenever you do it, you definitely need to do this on the test network first before you go to mainnet. All right. And you want to get comfortable with it on a test network first, so you don't compromise your funds. And if you decide to move to mainnet, then, you have to be very careful and assume all liability. So basically, if you're watching this video from this point forward and you follow these instructions, then you assume all liability for your own funds. I'm sorry, I can't help you if you do something wrong and lose your money. So with that being said, let's jump in and get started. Let's look at the overview of what we're going to cover tonight. Can everybody still hear me okay? Still going well? Okay, so What we're going to talk about is an overview of the staking. Well, first of all, we're going to talk about we're going to start off with what is Ethereum for people who are brand new. I don't assume that you know blockchain before doing this masterclass. So we'll give a brief overview to that. If you want a more in-depth explanation on that, again, I go through all of that very detailed inside the bootcamp, but I'm going to give you an overview on that, on Ethereum as we have it now versus Ethereum 2, okay, which is where staking is going to be involved. We're going to talk about an overview of staking and how it works and why you want to do that. And then we're going to talk about the technical implementation. And then we're going to do an extended time of Q&A at the end, okay? So one thing that's important to note is, as far as the technical implementation goes, I have created a separate set of videos that shows you how to do all this step by step, okay? And so I'm going to deliver those after this masterclass. So if you joined, with email, then I'm going to email out a replay link with this live stream, and then also those extra videos with the coding resources. And if you're inside the Blockchain Mastery membership program, then this is all going to get uploaded to the video vault after this class, as well as those extra videos plus the coding resources. There's a few reasons for that. The technical implementation for this requires waiting. So basically, when you set up your Ethereum node, you have to wait for it to activate and sync, and that takes hours. So I can't really do it live on the class. And also, it's just cleaner if I give you very thorough step-by-step instructions pre-recorded, and I can just deliver that to you. So I'm going to go over the whole process tonight, but those step-by-step instructions will be a separate delivery after this. And then we'll do the Q&A tonight so you guys can ask questions and, go through all that kind of stuff. All right. So let's just start off with Ethereum. Okay. So what is Ethereum if you're brand new? Because, this space is blowing up like crazy. See here. Yeah, this space is blowing up like crazy, and there's a lot of new people here. I've been talking about Ethereum a lot on YouTube lately, and it's just reaching like an unprecedented number of people. Like the Google searches for Ethereum are off the charts. They're the highest that they've ever been. Let's just see here. Google Trends. Like the yeah, Ethereum is at an all-time high as far as Google Trends go. All right, they project it to go down a little bit, but like if you go at the past 5 years, like we blew out the all-time highs from 2017. Okay, so there are a lot of new people who are searching for this, trying to figure out what it is. So Ethereum is a blockchain. So you might have seen Ether, the cryptocurrency, which is the native cryptocurrency of the Ethereum blockchain. It's the base asset. So if you think about like Bitcoin, Bitcoin's a blockchain. Bitcoin is also a cryptocurrency. So Ethereum is a blockchain, but Ether is the cryptocurrency. That's a part of that. It's part of the blockchain. So Ethereum versus Bitcoin. Bitcoin is really just a money. That's what the Bitcoin blockchain's for. It's to store Bitcoin, determine. It just basically keeps track of who owns Bitcoin and how much, and lets you send Bitcoin from one account to another. It's really just like a money system. But Ethereum takes that to the next level. So Ethereum is a blockchain. Ether is the cryptocurrency. So you can send Ethereum cryptocurrency around, right? That's a basic transaction. But you can also do more than that. So you can create programs that run on the blockchain with smart contracts. These are decentralized applications. That's what the name like DApp University comes from. A DApp or DApp is just short for decentralized application. So the reason Ethereum is so powerful is it allows you to create brand new applications for Web 3.0. They're blockchain based, where the back-end part of the application runs on the blockchain, runs the smart contracts that are trustless, immutable, and it just really opens up the door for all new possibilities. Okay. And the biggest use cases on top of Ethereum right now are the financial-based use cases, DeFi, stable coins, all that kind of stuff. Okay, so that's what Ethereum is. It is by far the leader in this sort of Web 3.0 blockchain that supports smart contracts. Compared to any of the other blockchains out there, has the biggest developer community, the most apps on top of it, the most users, all that kind of stuff, as far as smart contract platforms go. So I cover Ethereum almost exclusively on my YouTube channel, inside the Blockchain Bootcamp, all that kind of stuff, for lots of reasons, just because it's got the most steam as far as smart contract platforms go, and stands the best chance at gaining mass adoption as far as blockchain technology goes. So that's what Ethereum is right now. That's Ethereum 1.0. And so Ethereum is in the middle of moving to Ethereum 2.0. Okay. So we're going to talk about that. So if you use Ethereum right now, if you hold a cryptocurrency or you use a dApp like Uniswap, for example, then you're using Ethereum 1.0. But we are moving to Ethereum 2.0, which is going to be a multi-phase rollout. And we're in the middle of that now. So we're in phase 0, okay? And this is going to, like I said before, get Ethereum ready for prime time. So the blockchain is really fast, really scalable, all that kind of stuff. And this multi-phase rollout is going to have several different things. So phase 0 is what we're in right now, is when staking goes live. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight. So there are multiple phases after that, when basically all of Ethereum 2.0 finally finishes, right? But we're in phase 0 right now. We can stake now, but we can't get it back, which I'll talk about in a minute, until we get out of this phase. So what is staking? So right now, Ethereum works like Bitcoin. So it has miners, okay? So whenever let's just start with Bitcoin. If you hold Bitcoin in your wallet and you send Bitcoin around to somebody else, that creates a transaction on the blockchain. Okay. And inside the network, the blockchain is just a peer-to-peer nodes that all talk to one another. And some of these nodes are miners, okay? And the nodes that are miners participate in this process called mining that is essential for confirming transactions on the blockchain and updating the copy of the ledger to include the new transactions and update the balances, okay? And whenever this new transaction is mined, the miner that wins basically is rewarded with some Bitcoin, okay? That the network creates new Bitcoin, and there's also a fee paid, and those two things together help make up the mining reward for the node that includes your transaction in the blockchain. So right now, Ethereum works the same way. In Ethereum version 1.0, we have miners, and they compete to solve these cryptographic puzzles that include new transactions to the blockchain. So anytime I send Ether from my account to yours, then that gets mined with Ethereum miners on Ethereum 1.0, okay? Similarly, if you use a smart contract, then whenever you create a transaction, whenever you create a transaction with a smart contract, then the miners are the ones that are in charge of including that transaction in the blockchain as well, okay? So, in Ethereum 2.0, right now in phase 0, we are moving to proof of stake. So there will no longer be miners. Oops, sorry. That's what I want to say. There will no longer be miners, but there will be validators. Okay. We won't have mining anymore. We will have staking. Okay. So what is staking? Well, basically, you take cryptocurrency, so Ether, and instead of being a miner, you become a validator. So you have to hold some cryptocurrency to do this. And you run an Ethereum node. This will be a validator. And you take your Ether and you lock it up into your node, okay? And then, well, not really lock it up your node. You take Ether and you stake it to the network. You have to run a node to do this, all right? And whenever you do that, you participate in confirming new transactions on the blockchain or validating them. Okay, that's what a validator is. So you participate in achieving consensus on the network to create new transactions and add them to blocks on the blockchain. And that's what a validator does. That's what you do when you stake Ether. So basically, if you want to stake Ether, then you have to run a validator. You have to hold Ether, and then you have to stake that Ether in order to do this. All right. So now you might say, why would you do this? Okay. Well, the huge benefit is you get passive income. All right. So basically, the validators are economically incentivized to participate in running the network because they get a passive income reward. So I can show you what those are right now. So right now is a 9.4% return on staking. Okay, that's the staking rewards were for ETH2 phase 0. So if you run a validator node, you can get 9.4% on your Ether for staking it to the network. Okay. So some people say, like, why would you do this if you can do DeFi, all this kind of stuff? Like, why would you care about Ether? Why would you want to get that kind of return? Well, there's lots of reasons. One is just a different risk profile. So there's smart contract risk with DeFi. So let's say like you want to put your ETH in, I don't know, some DeFi app like Yearn Finance, for example. Well, there's potential risk there. I mean, that contract could get hacked. It's just developers created this. They're not as like thoroughly audited as like the Ethereum protocol, for example. Okay. Another is as far as ETH goes, some people staking ETH is a potential way to avoid. There's a potential tax incentive for doing this too. Again, this is not financial advice. You need to check with your account before you determine this is a viable strategy for you and where you live. But think about it this way. Like if you hold Ether for the long term, and let's say the staking reward goes down to like, 5% or something like that, and you bought Ether at like $100 during the bear market, and then let's say Ether goes to $10,000, okay, and it like stays there over the long term, right? Like we may like peak out at that and then go down and then come back up, or something like that. But it'll say it gets to a sustainable level of like $10,000. Like let's say Ethereum actually does, become part of this big global financial system that we think it can. Then basically like if you were to sell your Ether after it gets that expensive, you would incur a big tax hit. If you're like me, you live in the United States, that'd be a taxable event to sell your Ether and take it out and cash it into, fiat currency. But if you just stake it, then you would only be paying taxes on the staking rewards. So basically you'd never pay taxes on that initial gain in principle, right? So that's something I've thought about for at least some of my Ether, if not all of it, over the long term. Because I haven't decided what I'm going to do as Ether appreciates in value. I think some of it I will hold forever, basically. But I may not sell any of it. We'll see. And that's one of the reasons why. So let's see here. So that's an overview of what staking is, who would do it, what are the benefits, all right? So what are the prerequisites for this? So like who's this for? Well, one is, you have to have 32 ETH in order to run a validator. Now, at the time of recording that video, that's a lot of money. It's like close to $40,000. And some of you watch this, you have that and you're ready to run your own validator. For many people, they don't, and that's okay. So there are different strategies that you can do. You can try to pool 32 Ether from friends and family money. Okay. You can do a staking contract to get other people, maybe even strangers, to stake with you. Or you can basically create like a staking pool that have like a website that would be a starter kit for like a staking business. Okay, so I'm gonna go through all those strategies and the coding resources that I'm gonna include in this video, but I'll briefly overview those right now. Let's see here. Okay, so how this is going to work? Let's just look at it this way. I'm going to draw a diagram up here. So let's just start off with like what you would need in order to do this. So here's everything that's required in order to stake. Like I said, this is a very technical type of thing. If you want to run a validator and stake ETH this way, now you get a big leg up. You get a big leg up with your technical skills for doing this, because if you run your own validator, then you're gonna get a higher return on your ETH for staking it than if you were to use a staking service. So that's the other thing. If you're here tonight and you want to stake ETH and you don't want to go through this technical headache of doing it, you can use a staking service. There's lots of different ones out there. You can even use stuff like BlockFi to earn a smaller percentage return on your Ether. Let's say you don't want to go through all this, you don't want to assume the liability. Well, you can hand it over to a custodial service like that. So that's an option too. But I'm going to show you everything that you would need if you're going to do it. All right. So the first thing that you need is a validator. Well, actually, that's not the first thing. The first thing that you need is a beacon node. All right. So the beacon node is going to connect Ethereum to Ethereum 2. All right. So ETH1 right now, like I said, if you use your Ethereum 1, then it has to talk to ETH2. So basically you have to start a server that runs this process right here. All right. And this is going to be the bridge that bridges Ethereum 1 to Ethereum 2. Okay. So this is required for your validator setup. The beacon node is just going to be a process that you can run in multiple ways. Okay. So that's the first thing you have to do. And you can do this on your own computer. That'd be a more decentralized way to do it, is like start your own computer at home. You could build your own computer to do this, but there's a few problems with that I'll go over in a minute. Okay. Well, the first one is that your validator needs to be on all the time. So you need 100% uptime, or else you face the risk of getting slashed. All right. So basically, if your node's not on and you stake your ETH and it goes down, then basically part of your ETH can get taken away from you. Okay. So that's something that you need to understand. 100% uptime is really critical. So instead of just running it on your computer, the easiest way to do it is in the cloud. Okay. So I'm going to put some links to this in the coding resources. I'll try to do this, but basically setting up a server that lets you run your own, run your validator in the cloud where you can connect to it remotely so it's on all the time is the best way for you to do this to get started for sure. You could, like I said, do this on your home computer, but the problem with that is that yeah, like I said, even if you can keep your computer all the time with a backup power supply and all that kind of stuff, then you would even need a backup internet connection in case your internet went down. So there's lots of fail safes that are too hard for most people to implement for a home setup like this. Okay. So unless you're talking about having a serious staking business, or like, let's say, somebody here watching tonight has like an insane amount of ether and they like want to run, validators on their home computer or something like that. And you have like a dedicated room or like a dedicated office or even a dedicated like warehouse or something, right? You could do it that way. But for the vast majority of people, I'm going to show you how to do it tonight in the cloud. So in your cloud server, basically we're going to have a few processes. We're going to have this beacon node that bridges from Ethereum 1 to Ethereum 2. This is going to be the beacon chain. All right. And then we're going to have an actual validator. Okay. Let's see here. So the validator, what it's going to do is it's basically going to be the thing that runs ETH2. That's the thing that is going to facilitate the staking process. And that is what's going to basically run proof of stake, run that new consensus mechanism. Okay. And so all these are going to be in the same server. So in the technical implementation, I'll show you how to set up this server. You'll run a beacon node, you'll run a validator, and these two things will talk to one another. Basically, what the beacon node is going to do is talk from Ethereum 1 to Ethereum 2, and then this is where you'll send your ETH from ETH 1 to ETH 2. So basically, whenever you want to stake, you basically have to take your ETH, send it from your ETH 1 wallet to the deposit contract on ETH 1, and your beacon node will be responsible for like picking that up, and it'll accept the deposit. Okay, and then your and once that validator contract is observed, then your validator will become active. Okay. So now here's where I want to stop and stress that this is a one-way street in the short term. Okay, this is really critical to understand. So like I said, ETH2 is under a multi-year migration potentially. We don't have a firm timeline on how long it's going to take for all of Ethereum 2.0 to roll out. The Ethereum Foundation doesn't really give us specific timelines for a few reasons. It's just too hard to know how long something will take, to tell you the truth, because if you ever built any software before, then it's incredibly hard. The other reason is anytime they announce a date, it always gets pushed back, right? So we don't really get official timelines for them. That's okay. But I'll be prepared if you're going to go through this process not to get your ETH back for probably like 2 years. That would probably be a maximum that I would think. So just know that it's a one-way street temporarily until that happens. And so who is this for? This is for anybody who's willing to hold that ETH for a long term, or who wants to get in here now and learn how this technology works. At the end of the day, like I said, you can always do this on a test network. And if you decide it's not for you, then you'll still have those technical skills. If you're trying to become a blockchain developer, trying to do any of that stuff, then this will still be super valuable information. Okay. All right. So that's what I'm going to show you in the technical implementation. And everyone needs to do this if you're going to go through this process, whether you're going to stake 32 ETH yourself, whether you want to pool friends and family money, or whether you want to run a staking, business basically. So let's see here. So let's talk about those different strategies right now. So again, part of this is if you have 32 ETH, you want to stake it yourself. Part of it is friends and family. And then the last is staking contract. Okay. So if you have 32 ETH yourself, all you really need is, let me see here. All you really need is to set this up and then have an Ethereum wallet. and then take your Ethereum wallet, send it to the deposit contract on ETH1. Okay, that's this right here. And then go through all the rest of the setup steps that I show you in that technical implementation. And your validator will be activated in a matter of days. Okay. So if you're doing friends and family, then this would be for a shared wallet. So this would be a custodial wallet that someone would control. This is ideally for people that you trust. Maybe you control the wallet. So basically they would just send it to your wallet, and then you would go through this process of setting this up, and then you would send it to this deposit contract, okay, from this particular wallet. The last would be the staking contract. Okay, so that's what I'm going to show you also in technical implementation, where you can create something like this. So this is sort of the starter kit for like a staking style business. And it has a contract that accepts Ether from multiple people. So it could be strangers, all that kind of stuff, who can basically send ETH to you. There's a deadline for staking it. And once they reach this 32 Ether, or you can have like multiple validators do this kind of thing, then the funds from that contract can be deposited to the Beacon chain with the deposit contract as well. So any route, any strategy you decided to do, you have to go through this process. But then the things that change are sending 32 Ether from your wallet, for the friends and family wallet, or from the staking contract. So I clearly outline all of that in the technical implementation resources that I'm going to give at the end of this, which is going to be the bulk of this, honestly. So a lot of what we're talking about tonight is an overview of this process, introducing you to the concepts, making sure that you understand how this process works, the risks, rewards, all that kind of stuff. And but like I said, the bulk of the actual implementation is in those separate videos. So let's go ahead and do a quick pause here and see if there's any questions in the chat. So let's see here. Okay, see ya, Martin. Oh, thanks, Bo. 5 to 6% a year for 96 ETH was going to reach 10K long term. Hopefully, it's something to evaluate seriously. Yeah, I think, yeah, I would definitely, it depends on how, yeah, there would be a lot of things that you would need to consider there. If you got 96 ETH, that's enough for 3 validators. Yeah, that could definitely be a good strategy for you. It kind of depends on what your overall crypto and financial strategy is. You know, if that 96 ETH is something that you, really need in the short to midterm, then maybe consider breaking it up a little bit. But if 96 ETH is, an inconsequential amount for you over the long term, then by all means, stake it. So what about cybersecurity as far as the validator itself? So that's a good question. What I'm going to show you in the technical implementation is secure. So if you can do extra things like have your validator audited. You can take your test network version of the validator, have someone audit it, make sure it's safe. But I go through all the security best practices that will keep you safe in the masterclass, in the technical implementation part. So yes, it has to be exactly 32 Ether, and that's something I meant to mention a minute ago. So if you have more than 32 Ether, it's not gonna help. You're not gonna get like extra passive income on that. It's batches of 32 basically. So I talk about that in the staking contract portion of this, where like if more people send to the pool and there's like extra left over, then people can claim it. So that's on implementation. So again, that staking contract implementation is like a starter kit for a staking business. So if you wanted to get something way more robust, way more advanced and sophisticated, you could definitely check out something like Rocket Pool and their staking contracts. You could try to fork Rocket Pool and tweak that for sure. So what about if DigitalOcean get off for network maintenance? So you can create backup instances in different regions. I wouldn't think that you would have to worry about that. You know, there's a chance that certain things can go down. I mean, AWS has had outages from time to time, but these companies are big enough where they're going to have, you're probably going to have higher chance of uptime on their servers than potentially your home computer. So it says DigitalOcean has gone down for you before. So was it a website running on DigitalOcean? What type of what were you running on DigitalOcean? So Jacob is saying it's best to have a load balancer with duplication. Yeah, you probably want to have some sort of backup instance, and I would have the backup instance be in a separate region. So how often they pay the interest? So that I'm pretty sure the staking interest is paid out per block. So do you lose all 32 ETH if you have downtime? No, you don't. You don't just like instantly lose all your 32 ETH. There's specific slashing penalties. They're a lot smaller, so it's not like you're just gonna. There's not like you're just gonna yank all your ETH. And there's significant. You could have some downtime without really cutting into your principal, especially if you've been accruing ether from staking rewards. So officially right now, it's going to be a lot more forgiving because they're trying to set this up on the beacon chain. So what's your view for gas price? So is the question there about the current gas price and do I think it's good or bad, or what I think is going to happen with gas prices over the long term, or staking with gas prices? Maybe you can clarify that. So Jacob says it's a server website, but it went down for maintenance. Hmm. Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I would run a duplicate instance. Like I said, you could do it in a different region. I've run lots of stuff on DigitalOcean with significant uptime. Again, some downtime is not going to like totally kill your validator, but you definitely don't want it to be off for like days or anything like that. Another option, I mean, if you don't want to use DigitalOcean, you can migrate to a different platform like AWS, Google Cloud platform. But DigitalOcean will work. I use it, and it's also recommended quite a bit by like Prismatic Labs. So the Prism client is what I'm going to show you how to set up in the technical implementation. So the question is about gas prices long term. Yeah, so it's a good question. I think scaling or layer two is going to be a significant help to this. Okay. So our layer two scaling solutions are rolling out really fast, like probably in a matter of weeks. So basically, we've already got people working on optimism. Loopring already has L2 working. I think as soon as some of the other big major players like Synthetics and Aave and Uniswap have L2 working, and they're all using a very similar type of strategy, if not the same strategy, then we're going to see some big improvements on speed and gas prices. So I think we're definitely going to have some sort of L2 or layer 2 scaling solution in the short to midterm that will probably bridge over even into ETH2. So somebody's talking about asking where the mail is for the technical resources. So this video plus the technical resources are all going to get mailed out after this. So you'll have a link to all that when it's time. So one validator only holds 32 ETH or can hold 6496 ETH. So you need to run one validator per batch of 32 Ether, but you can do it all on the same machine. So basically you'll have a beacon node and then you'll have like validator 1, validator 2, validator 3. There's even special instructions inside Prism on how to run multiple validators. So you don't need multiple computers, but you do need multiple processes, if that makes sense. So beacon node and validator node on the same server are fine. Mm-hmm. Somebody asked if we could run the beacon node and the validator on the same server. Yes, I recommend that. So OR, if you have any problems with the resources, just shoot an email over directly and just mention that you were in the chat and didn't receive anything, and we'll make sure that you get the resources. So any more questions here? So let's go deeper into the tech. So as far as let's look at so I'll give you some other overview. Let's see. So as far as the technical implementation goes, again, I'm going to send out those separate resources. It's going to show you how to do all this step by step. So I'm not going to cover a lot of that tonight here on this live session, just because there's so much to do. It's like over an hour and a half of content of like step by step focus footage. That is like, do this, set it up, wait, do this, set it up, wait. And that's one of the reasons I couldn't do it all live on the class tonight. So I have not personally used Avado. I've seen people use them. So I don't have a testimonial on this or not, but it looks like a pretty solid solution. It looks like it's got Prism client everything already, which would be nice. So recommendations for hardware. So yes, we definitely have hardware recommendations inside the technical implementation, but I'll pull those up right now since everybody asked. Let's see here. So it's not crazy. So basically the hardware requirements are way less than like running a miner. So let's see. Let me actually pull the Prism documentation here. I want to tell you the exact technical specifications so I don't mess anything up. So their documentation is kind of big. Okay, here you go. So the system requirements for running Prism, which is the client that we're going to run inside the masterclass, into the technical implementation. So the minimum specifications are 64-bit Linux box or Mac OS 10.14 or higher, Windows 64-bit, processor, Core i5 or AMD FX 8100 or better. So only 8 gigs of RAM, only 20 gigs of storage space, and a broadband internet connection. So as long as you have that, you can run a full validator node. They recommend that you have something a little more performant than that. So Core i7 or AMD FX 8300 or better, 16 gigs of RAM, 100 gigs of solid state or solid storage. It is recommended, but you don't have to. You could use this, okay? So that's one of the nice things about DigitalOcean is you can scale your resources. Lots of cloud providers let you do that too, but basically you can just say if you want more, you can just like bump it up. And the cool thing about DigitalOcean is in the resources that I provided you tonight, there's going to be basically a link where you can just sign up for free and get credits so that you can just try it out. And if you need to move the resources, you can do it that way. So Isaiah says, would this be considered back-end development that I can use in my resume or portfolio? You could call it back-end development. You could also call it like infrastructure development or DevOps development, probably more accurate. I would call it DevOps. So OR says, how's the link between Ethereum 1.0 and Ethereum 2.0 made? So that's what I was showing you earlier is this right here. So whenever you run your server, you have two processes on it. You have a beacon node and you have a validator node, okay? And the beacon node is what bridges Ethereum 1 to Ethereum 2. Basically, it talks to Ethereum 1.0, and then your Ethereum validator is what connects it to Ethereum 2.0. So OR, yeah, so maybe I didn't communicate this very clearly. So the technical implementation is basically in a separate set of recorded videos. So the class tonight is an overview. It's Q&A, try to clear up any questions that you might have about this. The technical implementation. So I've done these master classes a few different ways. Some of it's like live coding. I'll just do it on screen and then deliver it to you at the end of the class. The problem with doing that for a validator is that you have to set everything up and then wait. So basically, like you have to create a bunch of stuff, wait for like hours for it to go live, then do something else, then wait for hours, and then do something else. So it's not exactly something we can just do live on the class tonight. If something specifically technically that you want to see right now, I can show you that. But there's over an hour and a half of footage of step-by-step technical implementation that'll be delivered as soon as the class is over. So somebody says, how many validators can be on the network? So that's a good question. So this is basically if the calculator says if like 10,000 ether is staked, so that's probably not going to happen. But basically it would be the total ether in supply, or sorry, 10 million ether divided by 32, which would be like 312,000 validators. That's probably not going to happen anytime soon, but that's like where that's like a rough guesstimate where that would be. So April says if you have questions after viewing the technical videos. So if you're in the membership program, you can hop into Slack. There'll be a special chat for this where you guys can jump in there, help one another out. If you're not, you want to join, you still can. If you get stuck at the end of the day, you can always shoot an email back and we'll try to get you unstuck there. So Jacob says, how does Ethereum inflation work? So right now, Ethereum is inflationary because new Ether is issued for Ethereum mining. So basically, what I showed you earlier is basically where this happens. Whenever Ether is mined, then new ether is created in this process in addition to the fee that gets paid for the transaction. And that's how new ether is created, and that's how the ether supply goes up over time. So one more time, Charity, the percentage of return is based on the current price of ETH. So no, the percentage return is based upon the number of people who are staking. So that's a great question. So you see this reward goes up and down. This is the reward basically goes down if fewer people stake. Oh, sorry, if more people stake. So it goes up if fewer people stake. So think about like an incentive. So basically, if the network needs more validators to get more secure, then the reward is higher. So it's an incentive. And then when more people jump on, the reward starts going down, right? And it goes down and goes down until it reaches some sort of equilibrium point where it stops being profitable for people anymore, or as rewarding for people. And when those people start dropping off, the reward goes back up. So it'll find some equilibrium. I think long term, the staking rewards will probably get closer to 5%. That's what I would think long term. But again, there's still a big incentive for that for people who bought Ether at, really, really cheap and hold it for the long term and don't ever want to sell it because they can just get reward off that. So Manraj says, if there's an update to the validator Prism due to bugs or whatever, would the validator stop working or would you start getting slashed? Would you have to relaunch your validator? So whenever there's an update, something like Prism, for example, then you want to run the maintenance update. So it's pretty easy to do. There's just commands for it in Prism. Let me just pull it up here. So you can see here, you can see here inside the Prism documentation, basically upgrading and downgrading Prism. So if you do the if you do the just the straight Linux version, then these are the exact instructions that you want to do. It's pretty easy, to tell you the truth. So if the reward is paid in ETH2, that means cannot be used until ETH2 is live and can't be converted into other crypto or fiat. So that's correct. So there are some people who are talking about tokenizing the staking rewards on ETH2 so that they can be used and like traded and like leveraged instead of DeFi apps or something like that. But I haven't seen that fully roll out. But yeah. All right, everybody. Let's go ahead and drop the last questions here in the chat. I'll go and give us a few minute warning here, and then we'll go ahead and wrap up. So somebody says, why 2 years of staking, not 3.5 years? So part of that is based on just the estimate of how long we think it's going to take Ethereum 2.0 to roll out. So staking went live in November of 2020, and it's estimated, that it would take about 2 years for ETH2 to roll out. I don't think all of ETH2 is going to ship in 6 months. That would be incredibly surprising. But I would be prepared for a couple of years before you were going to be able to withdraw your Ether. Might take longer. So the ETH. So the question is the Ethereum network going to put a cap on how many people can stake? So really, there's no real cap, as much as there's just limited by the supply of Ether and the amount of returns. Because literally everyone could technically stake. It's just the fact that the rewards would go so far down that it just wouldn't even be worth it for most people. All right, any more questions? I'll go ahead and give us a 5-minute warning on questions here, everybody. So somebody says, you say it wouldn't be worth it for most people because the cost to keep the validator running. No, mostly because of the returns. So basically, if literally everybody staked, then the returns would go way, 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 way down to like a very tiny, tiny percentage. So I think that they could be like even closer to like 1 or 2%. So a lot of people don't want to go through the hassle of like, locking their ETH up And honestly, like there are gonna be so many people using ETH on the Ethereum network that it which wouldn't even be feasible for all the ETH to be staked. I mean, you have to have the technical barrier of entry just to do it in the first place. The other big thing is, I mean, people need ETH to pay for gas fees. So Ethereum is going to be used for other things besides staking, right? If we're paying gas fees to send Ether around or we're using smart contracts, ETH has to power the ecosystem. So people are going to hold ETH in their wallets in order to spend it on the network. So Isaiah says, how much content is inside the bootcamp? So the bootcamp's over 15 hours of content, step-by-step coding course on how to do blockchain from scratch and build your own real-world application. So the cost estimator is all inside of the technical implementation, but I'll just show you right now. I'll pull up my DigitalOcean dashboard and just show you the ETH2 validator that I'm running. Let's see here. So you could do a basic droplet for $40 a month. So this one's running on a more advanced droplet for 80, but you could do $40 per month, and it would be totally fine. And the staking rewards right now would definitely cover that. So if you had 32 ETH times 0.06, so 32, let's just say it's $40,000 times 0.06. That's 2,400 per year. And the cost of running your infrastructure would only be like a few $100s per year. So do I have a technical advisor for small consulting companies? Yeah, so you can shoot me an email, and we can try to chat over that way for sure. So any recommendations on which ETH1 node to run? Infura, Geth? So in the masterclass, in the technical implementation, I show you how to use Alchemy as a good, reliable provider. So I believe Alchemy is running a Geth client. All right, last call for questions here, everybody. So I haven't done any in-person boot camps yet, but maybe one day. I just have mine in the upper tier. It honestly is the default and the setup. I just wanted to have some extra headroom. You could probably run it on the lower tier and you'd be fine. Yeah, so the technical documentation, if you sign up over email, you'll have everything mailed out after this. And if you're inside the membership program, everything's going to be inside the video vault. So more bandwidth will cost extra, but you shouldn't have any problems like crossing 4 terabytes of bandwidth per month. I don't think that won't be an issue. All right, everybody. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up there for this evening. So again, all the technical implementation for this stuff, it's over an hour and a half of footage, is going to get sent out to you right after this. I know there's confusion for some people about this. They're like, oh, hey, I still don't understand how to run my node. Like I said, that's because it's coming in a separate package. And the reason for that is there's a lot of, do something, set it up, wait for hours before you can proceed. And I just can't do all that on a live session, but I still wanted to be able to give you this overview in the live session and be able to interact with you all directly, to talk in the chat here, clear up any questions that you might have, and get you excited about this new opportunity. All right, everybody. So that's it for this evening. Really enjoyed this masterclass. Super excited to present on this, this topic. This is something that I'm really interested in for the long term as a blockchain developer.